Ladies and gentlemen, gamers of all ages, welcome to this Holy Grail Games video. My name's Jamie, and today I'm joined by Georgina.
Hey.
And we're here to talk to you about Vernissage, the first expansion for Museum Pictura.
Absolutely.
Now, before we get stuck in, obviously, the normal blah blah, this is a prototype. So if anything looks off, don't worry, it is not representative of the final product. Well, mostly so. It will mostly look like this, but obviously if the colours seem a bit weird in some places, or maybe some of the text isn't right, or in the case of this prototype, it's in French, that's normal. It is a prototype. If you order the game in English or in whatever language, you will get it in that language. Don't worry.
We promise.
So, without further ado, Vernissage, which is a French word, which was basically what we call these great artistic opening events, like a sort of preview event. And as this is the Roaring Twenties, we are in a time of fancy parties and important people. So the idea behind this expansion was to take that and kind of put it into the gameplay.
Yes, absolutely. So the idea behind Vernissage is you are going to be organising little private soirees, little intimate events.
For a select clientele.
Yes, exactly.
Fancy cocktails.
Yes.
Aperitifs.
Caviar, probably.
Maybe, I don't know. Depends on where you are.
So, we're not fancy. So,
common as muck.
So the idea is you are going to be organising these little evenings and trying to invite celebrities to attend your event. So instead of discarding, instead of exhibiting painting cards, you are going to be discarding them.
Putting them to one side
yes.
for these private viewing events.
Exactly. You're going to be putting them to one side for a certain amount of time until you perform an inventory, for example.
You can always get in the back.
Absolutely. So it will allow you to try and attract these VIPs to your establishment and perhaps become your supporters, your patrons.
Exactly. For, of course, bonuses and prestige points, which is what we're after.
Absolutely.
So how does it work exactly? For game setup, nothing changes for the rest of the game. You set up your central board, your player boards, everything else exactly like in the base rules, except we also have now this Vernissage board, which has 4 slots on it for 4 different soirees. There are 2 different types of cards, the invitation cards and the VIP cards. To set up a soiree, you take an invitation card, you plop it down on the invitation slot. You'll notice there is both a period and a style icon. And then you take 2 VIP cards and you plop them down on top like so, and voila, you have your soiree ready to go.
Yeah, so now, essentially, that's the evening that you're trying to organise.
Exactly.
And then below are the 2 celebrities who might be interested in
who are attending that you want to attract to become patrons of your museum. Now, there are 4 slots. Normally you will only be playing 1 soiree per player. So if there's 2 players, 2 soirees, etc., etc., we're just showing you the whole thing for the sake of this video. How does it work during the game? Well, very simply, you gain an additional action during your turn. It is a free action, like with the favour cards, like with the patron cards. At any point during your turn, after your acquisition phase, which is where you exchange with the central museums, you may discard a painting card from your hand. And depending on the criteria of that painting card, you will be able to organise one of these soirees and attract 1 or 2 VIPs to become patrons of your museum. But it all depends on the card you discard. For example, if we look here, if I was to discard a Renaissance portrait card, for example, that's a Renaissance. Therefore, I would be able to discard that card and then recruit one of these politicians, or one of these VIPs, there is a politician in there, into my museum. However, if I was to discard a Renaissance landscape card, I could recruit both politicians into my museum. So it depends on the cards you have in hand. Are they interesting to your collections? Do you mind getting rid of them? All that kind of thing. Okay? Absolutely. So you would take these 2 politicians, you would put them onto or next to your museum board. The invitation card is discarded. If you only take one of the characters, that other character is discarded as well. He doesn't come back until later on if you remix the VIP pack. And then at the end of that player's turn, we plop another invitation, another 2 characters down, and that's another soiree. Just like with the favour cards and the patron cards, you can only do 1 per turn.
And you can also only discard 1 painting card to do this. So if you want to attract both VIPs, then you're going to have the card that matches. If not, you can discard 1, and hey, you may need that one VIP, that may be the one that you need for your particular collection, because they have a variety of different effects.
There are actually 6 different characters. So we have journalists to start with. These are the purple ones. Now, at the end of the game, they will remove, or they count as 2 less cards in your discard pile. So as Georgina knows very well, because she always seems to fill up her discard pile for the end of the game, it saves you a lot of points.
Yeah. I always seem to have the rug pulled out from under me at the end of the game where someone goes, haha, and now it's over. And
how do I get rid of all these cards?
Yeah.
Journalists can help.
Yeah.
Then we have gallerists. Now these work with the patron cards. Yes. For every gallerist you have, bearing in mind you can recruit multiple times the same type of character and their effects stack. Gallerists give you 1 extra point per patron card that you have at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So also can mean a lot of points.
It can.
Historians, they work on the period of the painting cards that you have exhibited in your museum. Yes. So for every painting card in my museum with that colour of period, I will gain 1 point. Yes. There are 5 of those, 1 for each period, plus 1 which is just worth a flat 5, which is still a good amount of prestige points.
Oh, yeah.
Art critics, they work on exactly the same principle, but with styles. If you have a style that they're asking for in your museum at the end of the game, you gain 1 point per card. Yeah. Then we have politicians, simple and effective. You draw a favour card. Always good to have.
From your politician.
Exactly, from your friendly politician. Yeah. Don't expect anything back. But favour cards, obviously, they need no introduction. They can be very potent during the game, and the more, the merrier, obviously. Yeah. And then we have celebrities. They have a very particular ability. They give you 1 prestige point at the end of the game for each empty room in your museum. So for each slot where you have not put a painting.
Yes.
Per celebrity.
So it's kind of, if you haven't managed to fill your museum, your celebrity's patronage can kind of make up for all those empty rooms.
Because there's more room for them to shine, thematically. But the key with them is striking a balance between the number of empty rooms you have and the number of full rooms you have, because honestly, it's always better to put a painting into a room. It will always be generally worth many more points than just one. But just in case, if you feel you're lagging a bit behind, a couple of celebrities will never hurt.
Yes.
And those are the 6 different types of characters.
Yeah.
Now, we'll be collecting them for their end of game effects during the game. However, at the end of the game, we'll also be scoring them as collections, which we will get to in just a minute. But in the meantime, George, do you want to show us a quick turn just to show it all working in progress, as it were?
Here's one I made earlier.
Exactly.
So, I start my turn by drawing my 2 cards, as I usually
usual,
would. And now
phase.
I must make my trade with an international museum, so I'm going to do that. I am actually going to go ahead and trade this card. So this is just going to be a flat trade. I'm not going to gain or lose anything for this. However, this is a romanticism religion card, and I can see that that is something that people are kind of looking for.
Indeed.
So I can start putting cards into my museum.
Do your action,
everything
as per usual.
something to play something, etc. And any time during my turn, I can go ahead and start organising some little soirees. So I'm going to do that. So if I were to discard this card over, just to show you guys.
Yes, of course.
So this is perfect.
Yep.
This matches both criteria of the soirees invitation.
Romanticism and religion.
Yep. So I discard that into my discard the same way as if I had used it to exhibit a painting card, and I get to take both celebrities. Exactly. That invitation would then be discarded, and we'd put a new one out.
However, at the end of your turn?
Yes.
All right, now, you can only do 1 per turn, so it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. However, if instead of doing that, I hadn't managed to get my hands on that particular card, which, would have been useful for me, instead I can see that, I have a portrait card. Now, it's Rococo, but it is a portrait. Yep. So it does match one of the criteria for that soiree. Exactly. So I could then choose which one of those 2 VIPs I want.
You're not obliged to take the character under the criteria that you fulfill. You can take either one.
No. Now, I'm predicting that my discard will be a horrible mess at the end of the game.
Because it generally is.
That's just how it tends to go for me. So I'm going to take that journalist.
So you can discard that. So you would take this journalist.
Yep.
This character would be discarded. Yep. They won't come back unless the VIP pile runs out, in which case we reshuffle the discard pile. And the same thing for the invitation card. Both of them are discarded. Sure. At the end of your turn, we would then take a new invitation card, a new character, 2 new characters, and then we're done.
Yes.
And the game continues on as per the normal rules until somebody gets to 50 points.
Yes.
And we start the end of game scoring. There's one additional scoring phase during end of game scoring with the Vernissage expansion. Yeah. And that's basically where we're going to take all of the characters, the VIPs that we have recruited or attracted to our museum during the game and separate them out into collections. Yeah. There's 2 types of collections, just like with paintings.
It's collectionception.
Exactly. You have collections of the same type of character and collections of different types of characters. Now, you gain more points for collections of different types of characters, kind of to put the accent on diversification and also to stop
overstacking.
For overstacking effects for a win-win kind of situation. Yeah. But they still give you a lot of points. Depending on the size of the collection, so from 1 to 6 generally, from 2 to 6 rather, you gain a certain number of points. Yeah. At the end of the game, depending obviously on how you use them and how effective they can be, it is going to represent maybe 15 to 20% of your final score.
Yeah. Well, and I've played a couple of games with Vernissage now, obviously. The previous game I played, I gained 17 extra prestige points, which, hey, that's a good addition to your score. It doesn't represent. Obviously, making your painting collections are still more important.
Of course, but these can put the accent
absolutely,
on that
and it really encourages you to try and optimise. So if you're making a big Impressionism collection, for example, then really you desperately want the Impressionism historian to come out, and you want to be able to get them to just give an extra layer of points to what would already be a pretty good high-scoring collection, or to kind of boost a collection that you haven't done such a good job with. And all that kind of
well, the expansion is simple. Obviously, the mechanics are very easy to comprehend, but there's a lot of depth to the choices you have to make. Like everything else with Pictura, the kind of characters, the VIPs that will interest you will evolve over time with the choices you make and the strategies you employ. If halfway through the game, up till then you've been collecting, for example, historians and art critics because you just want to get extra points from all your cards, but then you realise you're getting a lot of patrons cards in your museum. Maybe all of a sudden you want to pivot and go for some gallerists because that will give you even more points based on those cards. It all depends on what's available, the painting cards you have available, and the choices you're willing to make.
Definitely.
Like with the rest of the game.
So it is a simple addition, but it does bring a surprising amount of additional strategy to the game. I really enjoyed playing this one, and hopefully you guys will too.
There we go. So I think we said everything.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you guys as well for listening in. We hope that has interested you. If you're seeing this video, the expansion is now available on the Kickstarter for purchase. If you're watching this after the Kickstarter is finished, the expansion will probably still look more or less like this, but don't worry, we will do a full video once the game is released with the proper factory version, the usual stuff, so don't worry about that.
And of course, if you have any questions about the rules, the gameplay, let us know in the comments, either here on YouTube or in the comment section of the Kickstarter page, and we will answer you.
As per usual. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Do have a lovely day, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon.